Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Uncontrollables. Thank you.
With us tonight, as always, is me, the most important person in the whole wide world, Maya Axton, spelled like the Ayn Rand character that no one remembers the last name of, but he has a diner. And we've got Josh Featherstone with us again tonight.
Evening.
We don't have anybody else because everyone else is just horrible and decided they didn't want to come on. They might have listened to the show previously, and that might be why. Or it's just that scheduling is horrible.
Coming up later and filling plenty of time that we're not going to have anything to cover.
Yeah, well, we decided not to actually pick a topic because we had some very special guests that were supposed to come on and decided the scheduling didn't work out. So we decided at last minute we want to cover a little bit of everything, mainly conspiracy theories, which is really fun. And then we're probably going to talk about my kitty and other stuff. Yeah, so keep listening, please. It will be entertaining, I promise.
Yes, we're going to get to the entertaining part here in just a little bit, but stay tuned in the meantime.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of laughter because we're all giddy. I mean, what, you're working on no sleep?
Pretty much, next to zero right now.
Okay, and I'm working on, well, my normal amount of insanity, which you guys only have seen just the tip of the iceberg on listening to this show. And if you've followed my website, Creating Maya, you've seen more of my insanity when it comes to my rant. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories now. And what I did, I know I said that word horribly wrong, but it's okay. If you guys haven't noticed, I mispronounce a lot of words. It's kind of my fault because I talk really quick, and I'm trying to slow things down, and so I'm used to getting away with saying things really quick and no one picking up that I mispronounced something. So now when I slow it down, it just sounds horrible. So stay with me here. I promise to improve. I'll improve even more if you guys somehow send me money. Message me on Facebook, and I'll give you my PayPal account. But
there you go.
Yeah.
And while you're in a donating mood, of course, visit the Indiana Talks website and click the donate button and give them plenty of money so they can keep broadcasting this show.
Yeah. And you know what you guys get if you donate money to me? If you donate enough, what I end up getting is breast implants, which means the Uncontrollables Facebook page on Facebook is going to have a whole bunch of cleavage and boob shots. So just keep that in mind. You giving me money gets you softcore porn. So,
and there's only one thing better than softcore porn.
And that's hardcore porn.
Hardcore porn.
I won't be giving up any of that. I mean, I'm not going to even go there.
So, I would like to go ahead and point out we are about 3 minutes into the show, and we've turned to talking about hardcore porn.
Let's go to the conspiracy theory portion of the actual show, however this works. Oh, good Lord. So this is going to get... Well, if you've thought of it, it's kind of crazy and uncontrollable so far, just wait. So, I basically just Googled list of conspiracy theories, printed off a sheet from Wikipedia.
The most organized show we've ever had.
And this, yeah. And we're going to basically go through this and give our opinions on them and make fun of them. And so if you have any friends or any family members that are into conspiracy theories,
or if you have any friends or family in general.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're listening to this, you may not. But if you do, share this show with them. And this is going to be a rundown of some of the more famous conspiracy theories and ones I actually know anything about, because there's a lot. So let's go ahead and start without the grouping of scientific conspiracy theories. And the one I want to look at is the moon landing, where people say we never went to the moon. Now, do you think we went to the moon?
I think we went to the moon. I'll tell you what, though. I have seen some of this information, and it's enough. A lot of times, there was even, I think, one of the networks, CBS or something, a few years ago, even dedicated like a whole documentary to this idea. So this isn't one of those conspiracy theories that's just kind of laying out in nowhere land and only the kooks believe it. There's a lot of people that seriously buy into this. I believe we went, but there's enough information to kind of make you go, huh. Shadows is one of the ones that they love to show on this one. You see the sun in one direction, but the shadow's lying in the opposite way it should, and stuff like that. And I don't know.
I think that might have been the camera crew's lighting.
Right.
Because wasn't the moon landing kind of like some of the new Discovery Channel shows where there's this guy by himself out in the wild? We don't realize that there's like 12 camera people with him and a whole crew. So that might have been what happened.
Well, and it was on a soundstage.
Well, yeah. Me personally, I don't have full faith in the United States government or NASA, especially back then. And based on their ineptitude, even at today's standards, I don't really honestly believe we went to the freaking moon.
Really?
I mean, no, I don't believe if the government has an involvement in it, I do not trust whatever they say. And since we cannot verify it from an outside the government agency, I'm not going to believe it. I don't care how feasible, how scientific it could be. If it's the government being the only one that has done it or has dealt with it, I do not believe it.
All right, so how do you prove this? And what outside organization? I mean, you're going to ask SpaceX to run up there and get the flag and bring it back and say, "Hey, obviously we were there."
Let's go back.
Well, let's go back. Okay, but who's going to go?
Well, if the FAA and a whole bunch of other government regulatory bodies removed restrictions from air travel and space travel and everything else, hell, Virgin Mobile would have a hotel in space by now.
Yeah, I anyone that goes, it's going to be the government, and
Okay, the Russians had remote control robots on the moon before we did.
Okay,
we had just gotten to the moon. I think if I can remember the dates correctly in my head, the Russians were sending remote controlled robots to Mars not too long after we went to the moon. To Mars. Now we've sent, I think, 4 rovers to Mars now. I want to say 4.
A couple of them were there to film Transformers, I think.
Well, no, and a couple didn't make it or whatever. In the UK, I think, has sent a couple. The Russians have sent a couple rockets. That was back in the 70s through the 80s. The 90s kind of died off, and in the early 2000s, we started doing stuff again, so did everybody else. If we had already been able to do all this stuff way back when, why haven't we built some kind of mining station on the moon yet?
To mine what?
Okay, we just not. I think it was only a couple years ago. My timeline and my ability to keep track of time is horrible. So it might have been last year. I don't know. I think it might have been last year. We sent a rocket hurtling towards the moon. It hits the moon's surface, and we watched the dust move, and it was an amazing thing. And if you look at the quotes from these scientists and these quasi-scientists, anyways, they work for the government, so they weren't actually that great of scientists because they got government contracts, but you look at their quotes and what they said, and they're basically like, oh my God, we had no idea how dust worked on the face of the moon. We had no idea. Well, they would have had an idea if we would have freaking landed on it, but that's that. We're not going to spend too much time on either any one of these little conspiracy theories.
I'm assuming this list only gets nuttier from here.
Oh,
we're starting with the moon and just skipping right by that one.
There's some big ones on here. Okay, This one's going to reach out to our big, huge population of Christian fans because so far we've been so nice to you guys. And it's
the Bible.
No, it's not the Bible. It's not the Bible.
What do you got here?
It's all scientists are trying to foist the false theory of evolution on the public at the behest of Satan. That Satan
at
planted,
the behest of Satan.
That Satan, I've heard this before, that Satan planted fossils around to throw us off the righteous
I've heard this
path.
one before. That's the young earthers think that. People think the Earth's only been around 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years.
6,000 years.
6,000, whatever. I don't know about that. But yeah, that's how the dinosaur bones got there is, Satan, he went galloping around like Johnny Appleseed, tossing dinosaur bones around, and that,
honestly, somebody might have tossed them around because have you seen how many false skeletons there's been and how messed up I've watched 5 or 6 TED Talks on the classifications of dinosaurs, and this one guy basically came out and he said, hey, look, we spent a bunch of time looking over other people's research, and the only reason there's so many different kinds of dinosaurs is because all these guys want to name one themselves.
Right.
It's like, this one here is actually just a younger version of this one. This one's just a younger version of that one.
And I've seen that before. They've thought that they had a new species, and they get the skeleton assembled, and then at some point in time down the road, they realize that they have bones from 2 different dinosaurs. They've merged together.
The whole dinosaur skeleton thing is an absolute mess. There is no true science to that. I mean, it really isn't. But that's a whole different point. That's just a failure of that entire community all wanting, accolades for themselves. And that's all it really is, because who cares about dinosaurs? I mean...
And something I just now found out, Walking with Dinosaurs, the TV show, not real.
Oh, it's not. I had no idea. Oh my God. Okay, that just yeah, you're done. So, but somebody's saying that evolution is a theory that is being set up by Satan. Charles Darwin, Satan. That's what some people are saying. So,
I don't care if these people want to think that, but you know what? It has this is the kind of conspiracy theory that in reality has just about zero to do with today. The truth be told, 10,000 pieces of history are mistold, and whether or not the Bible's true or evolution's true or whatever, somebody out there is rewriting history 10,000 different ways. So this is just another version of a historical rewrite. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It doesn't matter.
Here's a future rewrite. It's that global warming was created by the UN and politically funded scientists, environmentalists, aided by Al Gore and many others to put cap and trade in place for monetary gain.
Got to throw Al Gore in there.
Now, Al Gore is somewhat of a little hero of mine, because he took some flimsy little piece of science, put a whole bunch of paranoia and fear around it, and then sold it to make millions. Tens of millions of dollars he's made off of, quote-unquote, global warming and climate change. I mean, come on. I wish I could talk about, the dangers of watching paint dry and make millions of dollars. Now, the climate gate towards the end of this little piece they put on here. Well, let's see here. Climate gate's basically been about a whole bunch of emails being thrown around in between different scientists, leading scientists on global warming, talking about how it's all a farce and they're doing it just for money. Now, when you look at how much governmental control, how much money is in play on anything, you start to ask questions and conspiracy theories pop up. Now, a lot of times, for instance, why is marijuana banned? Well, because a lot of different big companies wanted to ban hemp. A bunch of industries got together and they wanted to ban hemp. Well,
why?
How do you do that? You can't go after hemp. Hemp saved World War II. If it wasn't for hemp, we wouldn't have had the ropes and the materials to win World War II. It was a miracle crop. Well, what do? You go after marijuana. And you say the two are exactly the same. You can go and smoke a field of hemp, and you're going to get high as a kite, and it's going to cause lesbianism and everything else, the actual arguments they've used, and then you're going to have to go from there. But that's kind of what I'm seeing with a lot of the climate change stuff. I mean, man-made global warming, I think, is an absolute farce. I don't believe that mankind can affect nature to a global scale. I mean, 3/4 of the world's covered with water. I think that's
the most important part to me. I don't know if global warming is real. I don't buy into a lot of it. But even if it is real, do you think that we are so incredibly powerful as a species that, I don't know.
No, okay. The main thing behind global warming is that there's too much carbon dioxide, okay? There's too much carbon dioxide. Well, what's the biggest contributing source of carbon dioxide on the face of the planet? What produces more than anything else?
Cattle farms.
No. What produces more carbon dioxide than anything else, even feasibly, even on the same scale as anything else? There's a long pause of silence.
A magic carbon dioxide maker?
You don't. The ocean. The ocean produces more carbon dioxide than any tiny bit of any man-made anything. I mean, all the forests in the world being burned up at once wouldn't produce as much carbon dioxide as the oceans. Now, as far as climate change is concerned, one volcano even kind of erupting changes the global climate scale massively and for a very long period of time. So, to say that human beings in our super-duper clean fashion we have been compared to, say, the 1800s, where, London fog, when it was actually just because of all the stoves burning and all the furnaces that you couldn't see because it was covered in soot. Well, yeah. Soot. Is that right? And I'm saying that right?
Soot. I don't know.
Soot.
What you wear to church. Soot. What comes out of your chimney.
I don't care. The nasty black crap that comes out from burning other black crap. Okay, and then so, climate change is another huge thing. We could actually do a whole episode on that, and I really don't feel like doing a whole episode on that because, well, the way people defeat people like me talking about those things goes, have you gone to school and do you have a degree in that? Or are you a scientist? And it's like, no, I don't have to be. I can read. I mean, do I really need a degree in something to know anything about it? I know more about economics than most people that have business degrees. Just because I'm not super good at, say, using
adding machines.
Adding machines, a little subtraction, adding. Calculators. Just because I'm not good with a calculator doesn't mean I don't know about economics.
Abacus.
Yeah, let's use one of those. So the next one. So we'll go to the mercury causes autism in vaccines. Well, let's see here. They tell us that mercury's bad. That's why we don't have it in our thermostats. We don't have it in thermometers. We don't have anything anymore, right? Because it causes brain damage, right?
You know that
right?
the average, the flu shot, the amount of mercury that is in a flu shot is high enough parts per million that the flu shot is actually considered toxic waste.
So
could be considered toxic waste.
What's the conspiracy theory there?
Don't get your damn flu shot.
Oh, now I know a lot. I've never gotten I had one flu shot once in my life, and I got the sickest I've ever been after getting it because I was forced to in the military. I didn't have a choice. They're just like, we're going to stick this big nasty needle in your arm, and you're getting it. On top of the other boatload of shots I've got while I was in the military. Who knows what the heck's knows, but...
Oh, you're still under their control.
Oh, yeah, it's probably an RFID chip.
So you want to talk about conspiracy theories. My Axton, you are under control.
Oh, no.
The Uncontrollables is under control.
No, but there is some validity to all the issues with vaccines. And it's not, I don't want to say that vaccines are bad. Vaccines are one of the greatest advances in scientific medicine ever. We would be dying from stupid little diseases because we're too stupid to clean ourselves, so we'd be dying. But I think vaccines are a great thing. How many vaccines we're giving our kids these days is kind of obscene, and the manufacturing of vaccines is where the problem is. No one has a problem. Well, there are some people, but the mainstay of people don't have a problem with vaccines. It's what's freaking in them and how they're manufactured. I mean, that's the issue. So, okay, and I mentioned RFID chips, which kind of go along with needles. Well, there's a whole bunch of people saying RFID chips are everywhere. They're super tiny. They're tracking everything you do.
Mark of the beast.
It's the mark of the beast. There's a possibility that there's also some truth to that's a possibility in the future. Now, the government's always been all governments have been really up on wanting to record the populace and track the populace. Our government loves to do that, a.k.a. fusion centers. The FBI, what they're doing with Facebook, what they're doing with CISPA. Just today, CISPA moved ahead just a little bit further. So, you got all this, but RFID chips being unknowingly implanted us with vaccines, things like that, I don't think so. I don't. I think it's kind of absurd.
So what about the flips? Let's talk about the opposite side of conspiracy theory. Let's talk about, instead of people being implanted without their knowledge with RFID chips, what about people wanting that to be the next step, that we all get a chip, it contains our identification automatically.
A lot of people are really, really into that idea.
And a lot of people are really, really scared of that idea. I mean, it's controversial.
Oh, of course. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people out there right now arguing against Google Glass.
Yes.
The new
the
high-tech headsets. And they're like,
awesome. It looks awesome. I want to try it.
Now, I love technology. I love advancements in technology now. Can every single thing ever invented by humankind is a tool. Unless they're tools of war, then they're they're stupid. But every single thing ever invented by humankind can be used as an amazing tool. I mean, a tank setup could be a great use for all kinds of stuff. Cranes, the basis of it, things like that. Mm-hmm. But everything can be a tool, but everything can also be used wrongly. So, like, social networking, the internet can be used as an amazing tool. But it can also be used wrong by a bunch of idiots just on Facebook sharing these posts for no reason because that's what they're told to do by the post, to share it, or you hail Satan on your time off. Or, like printers. Printers are made to print, or they're made to smash a couple hundred times with a hammer.
Right.
That if you want to know what that story's about, definitely get on Facebook and like the Uncontrollables on Facebook, and you will find out what I'm talking about with printers. So, everything can be a tool. So RFID chips, could they be useful? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Could they be damaging? It's hard to say because The government has tools. I mean, just look at what New York City's police department by Mayor Bloomberg and everybody else, how they've been built into, what they have. They have scanners on trucks now. They can drive by your house, scan your house, and based on the density of everything, within the big X-ray machine and these new X-ray technologies, they can find out what guns you have, where the gold and silver is in your house, where the heavy metals are, things like that. And they can just drive up and down the streets and find out where everything is already. You think an RFID chip's really going to be all that great and that big? And no, I think it's kind of silly to think that it's going to kind of go that much further. Okay, so the next on the list is and we're gonna cover over this one real quick because it's huge and it's absurd. So UFOs and Area 51, go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know. All right, are we alone in the universe? I think we are stupid and selfish if we think in a universe the size that we are alone, that we are the only intelligent life out there, that we're the only ones that have ever experienced any form of space travel, and we're the most advanced in that. There's other species out there. Whether or not they've been here or not, I don't know. I would like to believe.
Okay, another conspiracy is the government hiding extraterrestrial technology and everything else?
Men in Black kind of crap, no.
Well, there's actually theories that Men in Black supposed to be actually kind of a realistic documentary.
Right.
So, me personally, UFOs, I think if there's aliens sophisticated enough to come here to this planet from a place far, far away, they would have already taken us over and enslaved the entire human race because we are retards. But we're going to leave that one right there. Plus, there's another thing on here after that says the UFO records theory is used as a smokescreen by the government to cover up the fact that Area 51 is a testing ground for experimental aircraft. Now, Area 51 and actually all the Southwest, New Mexico, all those places down there is where they tested everything. Right. You can go down there and drive down the highway.
Bomb.
You can look on rocks. You'll be looking at on one side of this little cliff, you'll see a whole bunch of black marks. And it's like, what the heck? And you go on the other side, there's no black marks. It's blast. It's from the bombs being blown up and literally charring the sides of rocks. Mm-hmm. And that's all over the place. They tested the SR-71 Blackbird out there, everything. It's not a smoke screen installed by the government. It's a bunch of weirdos smoking way too much LSD, acid, and everything else. If it would have been meth, they had it then. And they're seeing this stuff and like, oh my God, there's still UFO. I mean, I still see videos pop on my Facebook feed of people saying there's new UFO footage. And then there's a little while ago, there was that really popular thing about the sounds. The really weird sounds that says they're alien sounds coming up out of the ground. Maybe they're like the machines of the lizard people, which we'll hit later.
Right.
Let's see here. Next one is water fluoridation. I said that wrong.
I buy into the fluoridation and stuff.
But hold on,
bit.
This one says it's part of an insidious communist plot to sap and purify our precious bodily fluid. Who wrote this crap?
That sounds exactly like it came out of Dr. Strangelove. That's the exact lines they use in that movie. Precious bodily fluids.
If you always follow the money on everything. What was fluoride? Fluoride was originally used for a lot of what? What was its main uses?
I don't know.
Rat poison. It's a highly toxic substance. Yep. Now, they made a shitload of it, okay? Now, this big company and everything else, and I don't know all the facts verbatim, so I'm not going to get into the factual basis of this because I don't want to be wrong. So I'm just going to do a broad overlay from what I've already spent lots of time reading about, not off of InfoWars either. I don't go to InfoWars. Now, fluoride, there's a whole bunch of it, and they need to get rid of it. So what do? They convinced other industries that they should use it for such and such, because anything, even if it's poisonous, has multiple uses, at least on the surface. We don't always study the side effects of those uses, but we need to make money, so we're going to get rid of it. And that's basically what happened. Hey, it's good for your teeth. You know what it does? It kills everything. Fluoride kills everything. That's why they started brushing your teeth with it. Now, the side effect of that is why you start putting it in your mouth is, okay, it kills all the bad bacteria, it kills bad breath, everything else, right? So it does a function. Mm-hmm. The problem we didn't know back when is that your mouth is full of bacteria, good and bad.
Yes.
You kill off the good bacteria, the bad bacteria comes back quicker, so you literally get your body addicted to fluoridation. Get addicted to fluoride. So there's kind of it's a catch that fluoride actually kind of does something good for your mouth. But in the inverse, it doesn't. It's horrible because then you're addicted to it and you have to brush your teeth 3 times a day for it to actually be effective. And so that's kind of the side effects. Then they put it in the water, and some people say it's just because of it's good for your teeth. Other people said it's because it kills off bacteria and it helps sanitize the water. And it's part of the chemical process that they also put chlorine in there. Either way, those chemicals on their own aren't good for you. You're not supposed to swallow them. You're not supposed to rub them on your skin. You're not supposed to breathe them.
It rubs the lotion on its skin.
Yeah, it's full of fluoride and chlorine. So there is some truth to the idea that fluoride is bad to you, and it shouldn't be in our water supply. And actually, some towns around the country have actually had fluoride pulled out of their water, and there's whole countries that have banned putting fluoride in water. So do I think
of countries you can go drink their water and just
No,
start pooping water yourself.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hysteria, it's wonderful.
It's a great topic for another show.
Yeah, well, and then the thing is it's the fluoride. It's not a communist plot. That's the conspiracy theory. It's a giant plot by the government to dumb us all down or anything like that. I think that's crap. But I mean, there's really nothing substantial to it. Now, there is something to worry about when it comes to city water. Something very substantial, very real, and not talked about nearly enough is that pharmaceuticals. Everyone's taking a boatload of pharmaceuticals. Well, the thing is, your body doesn't really process all of them. You remove them from your system. When you go to the bathroom, you're pumping out a whole bunch of leftover pharmaceuticals. Right. Now, there's 2 reasons why this is bad. Because it goes in the water supply, and none of the water filtration systems we use in this country remove pharmaceuticals. They're too small. They're too different. It doesn't remove. And actually, a lot of towns have tested their water and said, holy crap.
Tons of prescription
They can
medicines.
basically tell what the most popular pharmaceuticals are in their town by testing the water. Now, if that doesn't kind of worry you, it's not this huge amount where you're going to go drink a cup of water and get like a half a hit of Darvocet or something. No. But what your body does with things like that.
But one day.
One day.
I'm longing for that day.
Now, think about how many women take estrogen or estradiol in their birth control pills.
Okay.
Every single day, millions of women, hundreds of millions of women, I'd say, because they're starting them on like 10 and 11 years old now, starting them on that, and then they're all putting some of that back into the water supply. Now, It's going to build. Now, there's another thing, is that all these things, when your body hits them, and then everyone's getting fatter, right? So everyone's storing up unhealthy fat. Well, your body's going to put some of these pharmaceuticals, a lot of them, into fat cells and keep building up. So if you gain, say, 50 pounds of weight and you've been drinking a whole bunch of city water, and then you go to lose a whole bunch of weight in a short period of time, you're actually taking higher doses of it than you would have been just drinking it. So there's been theories and things like that on that where it's really hard to study that.
I've seen along those same lines thoughts where people say that your body builds up some level of resistance to some of the drugs, and therefore if you either the drugs will be ineffective, or if you ever need to get prescription, you're talking about higher doses in 5 years.
And that's another thing, is if your body's getting tiny amounts or even higher amounts of all this stuff in its body and through the water supply or anything else, or through your food with all the different hormones and stuff they pump into that, you're building up a tolerance, and bam, now you don't realize it. So there's a lot of things that the problem is that all these people said, oh, it's just, the fluoride and the water purity crazy conspiracy theorists has drowned out the actual conversation we should be having about our actual cleanliness of our water and pharmaceuticals. But most everyone I know has at least 1 or 2 prescriptions. I have 3 prescriptions, and they're hormones. That's not really that bad. Now, I don't take antibiotics. I don't take painkillers. I've had teeth pulled. I've had surgeries. When I had my gallbladder taken out, I didn't take any painkillers, and that was horrible. That was literally horrible. I kind of regret that. But let's move on to something else. Oh, good Lord. Bees. The mass death of bees are attributable to the mega corporations' desire to control the food supply. Now,
this one's a pretty interesting theory, and I would say this one's actually one that is pretty important, and perhaps one that I would say fewer people know about.
Well, I was a beekeeper when I could keep bees. Now, if you just Google bee die-off rate, because every year the bee community does a pretty damn good job of recording bee die-offs and how many people lose how many hives and things like that. And it's not such a good amount of information from a local personal beekeeper, but especially from the big guys, yeah, and the people that raise bees and big farms of them and the honey makers and everything else, is that back in the 80s and 90s, you go get a hive and you put it in your yard and you could leave it alone. It was super, super easy to keep bees. Late 90s, early 2000s, it started getting harder, and every year it gets harder and harder and harder. The last number I know for sure, I think, was 2010. It was like a 60% die-off rate. That means 60% of all hives died per year.
That's crazy.
That's horrible.
And people don't realize the importance of bees to pretty much our existence.
Well, let's see here. I don't know all that. Like I said, this is a big range of everything on the show, so I don't have all exact numbers for you guys because I don't make any money off of this, so I'm not going to put that much time into it. But from what I already know is that we would have, as a human race, if all bees, honeybees, died tomorrow, we would have about 4 years to live as a human race.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, honeybees are not indigenous to the United States, if you guys didn't know that. Haha. But they're not indigenous here. I mean, honeybees, the most amazing creature ever. We don't know how they work, really. We have theories. We don't really know how they work, how they communicate, how anything. Honey is technically the nature's most perfect food. Literally. Google honey. You know, you guys, here's a free tip for you. Instead of going and buying these super expensive allergy filters for your HVAC system, instead of getting all these stupid, overpriced, over-the-counter pills and different allergy stuff, eat local honey. It works like a vaccine for allergies. If you eat very local honey, it has to be local. It can't be overprocessed or anything. Just go get the honey with the comb in it. Eat the crap out of it. All throughout, before allergy season and all through it, I guarantee, unless you have seriously bad allergies, you'll be fine and you'll notice a huge difference and you won't get addicted to nose sprays or anything else and you won't spend that much money. Plus, it's super healthy for you. And, well, it's just damn good. But
it is pretty good. You're talking about the honey with the comb in it? Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I raised bees for a couple years and I used to make meat off of it, but I ate a lot of the honey and it's just amazing. But to the conspiracy theory is that mega corporations are killing off bees. Now, no one really can say definitively that what's killing off the bees. There's people are saying that cell phones are an issue, and that's a very valid argument that cell phone towers and radio waves and how powerful they are messing with bees. And like my bees didn't die off. My bees disappeared, and it's called hive abandonment, where they had stopped working but stayed around. They were just continuing to be active, but weren't doing anything, and then just one day leave. I didn't have mites. I didn't use any chemicals. I didn't use any treatments. They just leave, and it's called hive abandonment. Hive abandonment something. There's a couple different ways to word it because, it's a kind of a smaller community, but there's also theories that, like Monsanto's GMOs, where you can't pollinate them. Well, there's a bacteria or a virus or something kind of odd and creepy that's super scientific that comes off these, and these bees get into it and bring it back to their hive, and that's what basically drives them insane. Bees are kind of very fickle. It's kind of amazing that something so amazing and so smart and we're so afraid of somehow are so fickle in their nature. So I don't think it's a plot by corporations to kill off bees to ruin our food so they can take over the food supply, because this isn't a 1970s or 1980s kids cartoon show with a super mastermind evil genius. That's just not real.
Yes. And that's something, when you start talking about this, I agree. I don't think that there's any top secret plot to destroy the bees, but nonetheless, the bees are dying, and they are important to our food supply. Perhaps as important as anything in our food supply and creating it. And if we don't figure out why, then we could possibly be having some serious issues just feeding our race.
Well, and then the price of food will go up. Because a lot of places like in California, there'll be billions of bees shipped into California at the different times of the year for their growing seasons to pollinate all the plants. And that's where your honey comes from. And the decline of the honeybee in America and everywhere else means we're shipping in Chinese honey. They ship them in 55-gallon barrels. Most of them don't pass safety inspections because they're lined with lead paint. Lead paint. Because China doesn't have any standards. I think they've tested a couple, and they've actually stopped bringing in shipments from certain Chinese companies because it's cut with high fructose corn syrup. Most of the honey you get in the store, unless you can verify that it's 100% real honey, and you want unprocessed local honey, it probably has something other than honey in it. So it's no good.
And local farmers markets. That's a great place normally to get some.
Just
good
get on
local honey.
Google, and you can Google local honey, and I guarantee there's a website or something. I guarantee you can drive down roads and see people's signs outside of their own house saying local honey. I can think of like 15 right over where I used to live. So we're gonna get on to the next one. The last one on this page was gravity. I didn't realize there was a conspiracy theory that gravity isn't real, and the only way to defy it is for everyone to stop believing it. That's why birds can fly. No birds believe in it. So if I ever meet anyone that believes that gravity isn't real, I'm going to either kill myself or punch them in the throat.
I would like to know. All right, so birds can only fly because they don't believe in gravity.
I'm not going to say I
airplanes.
know anything about that. No, because the airplane doesn't believe in it because technology is real and breathe and crap.
Well, right, but my lamp doesn't believe in it either. It's not floating away.
Now, wait. There's kind of another thing with the whole believing.
I'm going to become a gravity doesn't exist conspiracist just because I really am looking forward to how people are going to react to me, and I'm just going to run with it. I won't believe it down deep, but I'm going to act like I run with it. Yeah, I'm going to walk around flapping my arms.
We're going to move on to the next one. I just wanted to mention that. The revolutionary free energy technology is being suppressed by governments and the oil industry. Now, that we could literally talk about Tesla and his patents and patent law and IP and everything else and then Edison and the government and industry. That could be 18 shows. That one huge topic right there. Just Tesla, Edison, and government involvement right there. So is there a way to generate free electricity? I do believe so. I think Tesla was on to something. I think it could be developed into something that could be actual over-the-air free electricity. Do I think the electric companies have a monopoly backed by government force? Yes. Do I think it's too expensive? Yes. Do I think it's a conspiracy, quote-unquote, that they're working together to hold down other people? No, it's not conspiracy. It's fact. That's what patent and IP or patent law intellectual property right, copyrights, that's what all that stuff does, is it holds down innovation and it fixes prices for the big corporations that love government. The government loves them and vice versa. So, yeah,
and there's no company in the world that's out there trying to develop a technology for everyone to have free anything. It's like the light bulb that doesn't burn out. Can they make it? Sure they can, but they want you to buy light bulbs so they don't ever sell it.
Well, and then... There's so many. It's the consumers are idiots, anyways. But there's companies out there that can make something, or small startups that can make. There's people out there that can make miniature nuclear reactors to power a neighborhood, but they'll never get past government regulations.
Tony Stark did.
Never. Oh yeah. Well, no. Tony Stark couldn't exist because no one would be allowed to have that many patents or have that much. They couldn't make something without benefiting the government or having a government grant or regulation. So is there free energy technology? Yes, I know there is. If there's not, it's been planned or developed. It's just maybe hasn't been put into play. So, yeah. Let's see here. Well, the cure for cancer actually exists, but is being suppressed by the government.
Pot?
Well, the cannabinoids. How do you say that word?
Cannabinoids, I believe.
Yeah, cannabinoids. I hate that word.
A lot of people that think cannabinoids are the cure for cancer. I don't know if I buy into all that or not. But once again, I don't think that there's many pharmaceutical companies that have much of a vested interest in it. Their money is in treatment, not in cure.
And I wouldn't blame just the corporations. It's not just the corporations. It's the FDA. It's big pharma. Big pharma isn't just corporations. It's the government and the corporations. The government has come out and said natural health remedies are false. They don't work. They're not real.
Them.
You can't say they work.
They're trying to regulate them.
Because they did that, and that's not a conspiracy or anything. It's just because they came out and they said that, and that has stuck. I don't know, the history of that, whatever else. It stuck, and it's permeated the entire system. So if it's not some chemical or made by one of the chosen pharmaceutical companies, it can't be used. And honestly, I don't think a corporation come out and actually cure cancer. If you tried to cure cancer at a normal hospital, not using horrible, horrible radiation therapy and everything else, I guarantee you couldn't sell it. There's people that will go in there and beg to get chemo because they're afraid of cancer because they're so stupid. They go in there and they just beg for whatever they think has worked for somebody else. Mm-hmm. When chemo has quite possibly been the worst advance we've ever made in the medical community. When there's a million other things out there that could cure cancer or deal with it, they use chemo, which people die from a million other things or from the chemo. I mean, you're making people's lives miserable. So I honestly don't believe with how our medical community works that people would actually want to go in there and believe that, hey, take this twice a day for 6 weeks, your cancer will probably go away. Okay, see you later. They wouldn't buy it. They wouldn't believe it. And they'd probably laugh whoever tried to sell it to them out of the
right. People
hospital.
Don't want to buy into something. It can't be simple. It could never be something simple.
Yeah, no, it could never be. Now, there's a guy in Texas that's supposedly been curing cancer, and they keep going after him and suing him and everything else because you know why? Because he hadn't had approval. Because he hadn't had the government's okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so the next one, contrails, a.k.a. chemtrails.
Chemtrails. Oh, this is, well, I want to hear your thoughts on this one.
Honestly, I'm undecided.
I think that they're, I think that for the most part, this is what we see in the air is just typical, jet. What is it? The heat out of the back of the engine causes rapid air expansion.
It's supposed to be vapor and everything.
Blah,
but
blah, 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 blah.
I will say that I've seen pictures from when I was a kid. I've seen everything else, even in movies when they talk about screenshots and everything else. The sky doesn't look like it used to. I remember I haven't seen a perfectly clear blue sky for at least a couple years. I can remember as a kid not seeing a single cloud, not a single chem or contrail in the sky. And I know flying is actually down. Flying is nowhere near as popular, happening as much as it used to. Because our economy's in a crapper. So if flying's down, less planes in the air, but more chemtrails or contrails, and they spread and they get bigger and they create clouds and everything else.
Where'd you grow up? Were you a city kid or a country kid?
Well, I mean, I was technically in the flight path of Indianapolis International Airport. So I've always seen planes in the air and everything else. And I've seen them way up there, and I remember as a kid always watching planes, and you'd see them, and their trail would go for, however many miles it was, and they'd kind of dissipate and go away. I don't see it anymore. I can watch planes now, and their trail never disappears. They just keep flying, and the trail never disappears. And I don't know if it's just because I keep hearing about all this stuff and everything else, but I am honestly undecided on chemtrails. Now, I do know for an absolute fact that the government is still implementing different cloud seeding technologies. I know for a fact, because that was a government program run by government grants and everything else, and they're still doing it. They've never stopped because there's money to be made, so they're saying this and this and this and this, and it's trying to control droughts and everything else, and it actually doesn't work, but what it might look like may be chemtrails. So,
I don't know about it. I think for the most part, it's innocent what we see, but I couldn't go so far as to say that I believe 100% of what's up there is innocent.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm undecided. I haven't. That's something I got into a little too late, and I haven't spent the time to really look into it. So, but we're gonna move on to the next one. All right, so this one is really, really hard to put simply. 9/11. Hold on. What we're going to go through here. We got 9/11 was by the U.S. government. 9/11 was by the Israeli government. 9/11 was staged by the Rothschilds. Let's see here. The World Trade Center, you got the WTC Building 7.
That's interesting.
You got the Pentagon was being hit by a missile, not an aircraft.
Also an interesting one.
Yeah. What's kind of I'm gonna blow over those real quick. Blow over. I am doubtful about the 9/11. Well, I don't believe the 9/11 Commission report. I don't believe that the government has been honest about 9/11, what happened, who did it, and anything else. If it was anybody to blame over in the Middle East, it would have been the Saudis, not anybody else. Osama bin Laden, who was a CIA operative back in the 80s that we trained and funded and equipped to fight off the Russians, did not cause 9/11. Now, I can actually walk up and down the street, and I've been to different protests, different things. I've seen 9/11 people there, and I'll talk to other people that aren't in the conspiracy and go, how many times were the World Trade Towers attacked? They will tell me once. No one remembers back in the 90s that they tried to blow them up with
from
vans
in
the parking garage in the basements. So the fact that people don't know that, I really don't care about trying to convince them that 9/11 was a conspiracy of some sort. If the beams had thermite in them, now it is true that the different news agencies and the government agencies actually put reports saying that thermite could not have possibly been used to cut through those steel beams. That has been proven false about 100 times over, that thermite, the kind you can technically make from household chemicals, Google it. It's really cool. Now, I've never played or made thermite. I will state that again. I've never played or made thermite or know anyone that has. Now, there's a guy on YouTube. Yeah, it's YouTube. But and there's other reports and other engineers and actual people with degrees that have used thermite to cut through steel beams and look kind of like some of the crap we saw in the footage from 9/11. Now, who did it? Who's the big theory behind it? Was it the Jews over in Israel because the little Zionist Jews do everything? Those just get absurd.
9/11. I'll tell you what. I'm with you. I don't necessarily buy into the commission report. I'm not going to be super conspiracy theory about it and try to come up with 10,000 reasons why the government did it to ourselves, or the Saudis did it or whatever. But there is a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense about 9/11. And I think that instead of trying to create some huge conspiracy about who did it, I think there's some other thing that, some smaller piece that maybe they just don't want us to know. But then again, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist.
Right. Well, and then there's the Building 7. Now, that one's the most fun to read about because it has the least amount of crazy theories. The building caught on fire a little bit.
Yeah, Building 7's an interesting one.
And then, like the other two buildings, it fell into its own footprint. Now, if you guys have ever watched those really neat videos of buildings being demolished in Las Vegas and everything, how they fall so perfectly into their own footprint, that takes a huge amount of skill and talent and engineering and specialized explosives and everything else for a building to fall. And even the
experts still screw it up sometimes. You ever watch, there's a show.
Oh, yeah, they'll go one off and the whole building will fall over. So how did two of these huge, massive buildings fall perfectly into their own footprint, and then another one that got hit with a couple rocks and stuff and caught on fire on a couple floors collapsed into its own footprint? Now, what's interesting is, like, I shared a picture the other day, and there's all these other huge, huge buildings, big steel concrete buildings, right, that caught on fire and burnt up from floor 1 to floor 100, 200, 300, completely burnt to a crisp.
Oh, yeah.
And never collapsed.
Never collapsed.
Barely fell apart.
Yeah, you can find countless examples of that on the internet.
So that
and we believe everything on the internet.
No, but you can look at it. You can look at a video of someone taking a video of a building burning, its entirety burning, and it was built in China or some other country where they didn't have the same standards we did. And you're sitting there looking at it, and you're like, this thing's engulfed in flames.
Well, they built it with our money.
Well, all of them do. But you look at this building, and you're like, didn't you look at the pictures of the biggest amount of burning you saw from the Building 7 before it went down? And there was a couple floors here and there that were burning, and, it wasn't really all that bad. And it's like, but, Okay, then they said that the weight of the first couple floors collapsing fell onto that and then collapsed the whole thing. No, that's crap, ladies and gentlemen. Crap. But we're going to go on to the next one because 9/11 can just get huge. There's another one. Osama bin Laden, and there's a couple here, is not dead, has been dead for a long time, is an invention of the American government, blah, 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 blah. Now, like I said, we have been involved in the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, all those places since, well, actually kind of in World War II and from there on, because I know the Nazis and some of the other people over there were interfering with the Middle East and everything else, and everyone's always interfering in the Middle East, but we created a huge mess, a huge crap storm over there since about the 50s. We've been the CIA and everybody else, and it's on record. It's perfectly true. There's been operations. They've been televised, everything else. It's not a conspiracy. We have been dicking with the Middle East and, well, South America for 70 years now. Just completely messing with them, doing operations, controlling their government, influencing their government, throwing money around, everything else, doing sanctions, which are acts of war. And so we wonder why there's this thing called blowback. Go Ron Paul for bringing that term up. But Osama bin Laden was, like I said earlier, a CIA operative. He was the CIA funded. I mean, Al-Qaeda basically is a creation of the United States government. And it was half the equipment they're still using is from us. Those pictures of tanks you see sitting on the side of the road all burnt up were most likely either Russian tanks or the tanks we gave those people over there to fight the Russians or each other, whichever one we decided we wanted to play in at the time. I mean, this was over a period of 60, 70 years we've been doing this. So, but to the main point, Osama bin Laden, was he dead before they supposedly killed him?
No, he's dead now. I don't know if I buy into the whole story about how he died, but he's dead.
Okay, hold on. Saddam Hussein, Muslim, right?
Sure.
He was Muslim, right?
Sure.
Why didn't they throw him off the back of a boat?
We didn't kill him. His own people did.
Really?
Well, supposedly.
Or did we hang him?
Well, we didn't. I mean, supposedly it was the new Iraqi government without
Saddam Hussein. We took him to trial. Do you not remember that?
Right, but the actual execution of Saddam Hussein was supposedly, once again, conspiracy theory, who the hell knows, was supposedly not carried out by the United States. It was carried out by the people of Iraq.
How come when we pulled him out of that hole, we didn't instantly just go kill him and then put him in a hole or bury him or follow a Muslim religious law? How come we didn't do that? But we throw Osama bin Laden off the back of a carrier?
I think that's pretty interesting. I do. I will agree with you there. That the fact that he was killed and then before it really even hit the news, his body was already dumped at sea is...
No pictures? No pictures?
Something's not right.
Then the
with
SEAL
that.
team takes a super brand new experimental stealth helicopter that crashes in
the
Pakistan.
SEAL team that is slowly but surely dying off.
Yeah, dying off in really weird ways.
And in large numbers.
That's a whole nother issue, but it's true. They are dying off in some pretty weird ways, and there's a lot of them dying off. But this super-duper stealth, nifty helicopter crashes somehow at this compound in Pakistan, and then the Chinese pick up the parts. Tell me that makes sense. Tell me that there's a super-duper high-tech stealth helicopter the SEAL team's using to get in Pakistan where we have ops and safe houses all over the place. And we take this helicopter, it crashes, and before we have a chance to do anything else, the Chinese have taken all the major components off the helicopter.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, that, and why that piece of news got out, I am not too sure either. But, so, Osama bin Laden, what's up with him? He's dead.
He's gone.
I don't care if he died a long time ago or not. Was he the mastermind of anything? No. I'm sorry. No, he wasn't. He was a stupid idiot that was just, yeah. So, let's see here. Political conspiracy theories. Nazis. I'm going to brush over this real quick.
The Nazis.
The Fourth Reich has actually risen out of South America, and Pope John Francis, or whatever his name, Pope Francis, the new one?
The new guy? Or,
yeah, Pope, the Jesuit? The Pope Francis, right? The Jesuit.
Yeah, Francis the first.
Yeah, he's actually... Mandela, actually, he used some of Hitler's stored frozen sperm and impregnated some chick down there, and somehow that's now Pope Francis.
What's Hitler's frozen sperm going for now on eBay?
I think now, because of how everything's happened now, Pope Francis, I think it dropped down to lower in Bitcoin, actually.
Right, Bitcoin's off the hook, and Hitler's sperm is like, it's like pennies.
No, Bitcoin hit 54, dude.
187. Bitcoin's at 187.
Right now?
At least.
When did you see that?
Friday.
Oh, wow. So it went back up. Well, that's good.
Yeah, Bitcoin's going off the chain right now.
It's going back down.
Yeah, of course it will, because it's the most volatile fiat currency
you know why?
in the world. But
we're not going to get into that. You know what?
Because we're going to have a show on Bitcoin.
We are going to do
a show on Bitcoin.
But, okay, so we'll go to the next one. That a group of community organizers called Acorn stuffed the ballot boxes for Obama in 2008. How is that a conspiracy theory? Acorn was a political activist group that got out the vote and pushed very hard in some very shady ways to get Obama elected.
And was exposed doing it.
Yeah, they admitted to doing it.
On camera.
Yeah, so,
I mean, there's no conspiracy theory to this. They did it. They got their asses caught. The conspiracy theory is the actual results. Did they make an impact? Did they change the course of history with their devious ways? It's time for another more.
You know, the voting in this country is absolutely absurd, and if you vote, you're a moron. But, by the way, vote for Libertarians. Now, the next one. Back to Hitler. Hitler did not commit suicide in 1945 and escaped to South America. That could actually be valid.
It could be. And there's actually a whole ton of different. How did Hitler die? Did Hitler die? Conspiracy theories. Suicide. Boy, that seems very Hitler. That seems, something that he would have done. But at the same time, I don't know if I buy it. Did we kill him? Did he escape? And
well, okay, let's put it this way. Most Americans believe that we took Berlin. That's all I have to say, is most Americans believe that the United States took Berlin. If you believe that we took Berlin, stop breathing. Please. Now, because if you... No, I'm going to keep going. Now,
Funny how that occupation just happened, too.
Yeah. So we're going to move on from that one. We're not going to get into World War II without Jeffrey here. But, let's see here. We got MK Ultra, which is a CIA experiment, a project that the CIA experimented on people with LSD. Now, that's true. That was MK Ultra is a real project by the CIA. No matter what anybody tells you, it is an actual fact. The results and what all happened is where the conspiracy theory is. And there's a lot of people saying is it Holmes that did the Batman shooting?
Sherlock?
No, it was what's his name? James Holmes, I think it is. The orange-haired kid that was playing up Joker or dressed as Bane or whatever. I think out of the Batman shooting, people are saying he's on Project MK Ultra. That he is a mind control, and that his family and him and everybody had ties to the CIA and government, and that they did. It's funny.
Well, if you want to have anyone, represent the stereotypical what you think someone under mind control looks like, he fixed that.
I would really like to see his blood tests. Actually, all three of the more recent crazy young white Democrat shooters that we've seen lately, I would like to see their blood work after they hit prison, because they all look zoned out. I've seen people take handfuls of blue footballs and look less zoned out than that. But so there's that. But
I thought you didn't like sports.
Blue footballs is a reference to the shape of a pill. Most people are going to know what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
So the MK Ultra isn't some giant mind control program that they're going to use. Like, they're going to shoot you with the LSD and control your mind. But we'll go on to the next one, because that just gets kind of inane. And I'm going to skip all that page and go on to another one. Worldwide conspiracies. If you guys know what any of these are, either I'm proud of you or you need to feel really bad about yourself. Illuminati, Rothschilds, Knights Templar, Trilateral Commissions, was it Land Behind the Lakes, Skull and Crossbones, Bilderberg. Who else is there? Who are some of the other big groups? That's pretty much all of them, isn't it?
That's a lot.
The Masons. Yeah, so all of those groups can be basically summed into one. Now, Are these actual groups? Yes. Is a trilateral commission real? Yes. Does it influence politics and politicians greatly? Yes. Land Behind the Lakes, does it have influence with nature policy and environmentalism? Yes. Does the Bilderberg Group have a collection of some of the most powerful and influential and rich people on the face of the planet? Yes. Is the Illuminati to a degree real? I wouldn't doubt it because some rich people are weird. The Skull and Crossbones are real? Yes. What we know of it, all true? No. The Masons, were they once a very powerful, influential group? Yes. Are the Masons still influential? To a degree, most people I know that are Masons only really handle contracts and friendships and votes and everything else with other Masons. It's still a grouping of people that want to basically be with each other and everything else. Are you a Mason?
I am.
See that 45 right there? So, real quick. So, as a Mason, you evil, satanic piece of crap collectivist.
Oh, gosh.
The only one I actually think about Masons on the end of that was the collectivist bit, because I do think you're a collectivist and an ass. But what kind of worldwide plots have you guys dealt with? Because I heard you guys were behind 9/11. You guys were behind the housing bubble. You guys are.
I'm afraid I cannot discuss any of this with you, and I'm actually using powerful electromagnetic forces right now to even prevent this from being recorded.
Okay, I hate Masons. Now, if you belong to some little club where you have to feel like a little man reciting things and have your little rings and your little... You know, I had a club when I was a kid until I was about 6.
It's in the car. I'll go get it. I'll show it.
When I was 6, that was about the last time I was in like a club with kids. The clubs are... I hate collectivism, and that's all it is. Now, so back to the main point.
But we're ruling the world.
Yeah, well, there's all these groups, you know, like all the groups I mentioned. Most of them are all real. Most of them are all really influential. What people say is that they have these grand master plans to take over the entirety of the world, to kill off part of the human race. You've got the Sierra Club, I forgot to mention, who is real and influential, wants to leave 50 million people behind on the planet, kill off the rest of everybody, leave 50 million. Now, I actually think there's another group or another theory that says one of those groups wants to leave only 500,000 people behind. Now, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not. If there's only 500,000 people left and like everybody else died tomorrow, the only drawback I would see to that is that it would smell for a while. That's about the only drawback I would personally see from that.
We'd each have plenty of land.
Well, yeah, and no more cell phones, not for a while until we rebuilt the network, but we'd be fine.
But we'd have to have a few more people to help us with that.
Let's see here. We got another conspiracy theory is the Federal Reserve deliberately causes inflation and recessions. Now, the first half of that's true. The Federal Reserve actually does deliberately cause inflation.
Yes.
Because according to Keynesian economists, inflation isn't bad. Deflation is bad. Inflation is actually good because the value of the dollar you have in your pocket dropping with you having to do nothing is a good thing. Yes. So the Federal Reserve and the conspiracy theories around that are mostly true because it's based on economic theory and the wrong. Okay,
there's another whole episode sometime. We'll get Ron Paul on here with us.
Yeah, I've got a signed copy of his book, and I pushed for him really hard for a while,
right
before the fandom got weird. So yeah, he should. But let's see here.
Or Neil Bortz.
The people. No, I'm not having Neil Bortz on here. I'd slap his bald head so hard. Now
he's retired.
If the Federal Reserve, if you believe that the Federal Reserve is a federal department of the government, or it's actually a part of the government, please stop breathing.
Right.
Go play in traffic. If you believe for even an instant it's a function of government, go play in traffic. Please.
Right. It's a collection of banks controlling.
It's completely private.
You want to talk about Illuminati and controlling the world kind of crap. Federal Reserve that's about as close as it gets.
If you want to know about the Federal Reserve and everything you need to know about that, go read the Creature from Jekyll Island. I guarantee you can go find some Ron Paul supporter that has about 15 extra free copies sitting in his back room or in his car. So we're going to go move on to the next one because this is just getting kind of silly. We're talking about things too much. I'm not going to even talk about Monsanto. That's a whole show on of itself. Let's see here. There's the Bushes, the Clintons, the royal family. It depends on where you're at or what it is. It's just all kinds of stuff, but lizard people. Lizard people.
The lizard people?
The lizard people. Kind of like the show V that came out not too long ago that was amazing and got canceled. That was a hugely awesome show. It was
based off an
Anarchy
80s miniseries, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was basically a redone series, but it paralleled politics of the day very well. And a lot of the terminology stuff was a great show. It was basically anarchists rule. Now, people were basically, there's lizard people like that. And there was a video at an event not too long ago where one of the bodyguards off in the distance, they were saying he was shape-shifting, and as the shape-shifting failed, and you could see there was a lizard, and blah, 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 and that got really popular. And not because it was ha-ha funny, because people believed that the most powerful people in the world are actually lizard people that are here to take over the human race. Do you believe in that?
I am also a lizard person.
So you're a Mason, you're a sports fan, and a lizard person. Why are you my co-host?
Balance, sir. Balance. Ma'am.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, correct yourself. Correct yourself, or check yourself. Or
Next time on the Uncontrollables, tune in and listen to Maya completely ruin any hope that hip hop was ever going to survive.
Hey, I'm into the cool hip stuff that the kids are into. You know, I really follow these things. I mean, I don't even follow Reddit. Let's see here. My favorite ones lately have been all the ones about Barack Obama. He is a secret closet Muslim from Hawaii who was synthesized in Kenya for the purpose of fill in the blank.
He was synthesized?
That's what it says.
Like test tube baby? What are we talking about here?
I've actually heard people say he's a test tube baby, like the Manchurian Candidate type stuff. Yeah, he's also a lizard person, supposedly. He could also be an alien. I actually know people that
the lizard people are
this.
Aliens, aren't they?
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
They're from the center of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever watched Doctor Who? They're basically making fun of other people. My fandom gets too strong. It's like if you say one bad thing about bronies, no, there's a conspiracy that bronies that My Little Pony is actually. Oh, hold on. Okay, a brony is an unusual fan of the show My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, which is the new reboot of the series. And Rainbow Dash is awesome, but they say that anybody that's a big fan is called a brony, and it's mainly guys from like 18 to 35 is like the biggest fan base for this little girl's kid show, and it's kind of absurd. And I hate to say that I am a brony.
I was getting ready to say, as absurd as it is, I see a lot of brony pics on your Facebook page.
Yeah, I share a lot. Actually, if you go to Facebook and look up the Uncontrollables, the timeline, the big banner photo on the back is actually Rainbow Dash looking sweet next to the words, because communism is sexy. But I'm not a communist. I just like Mother Russia. The Hammer and Sickle is awesome. But they actually say that the My Little Pony is a government plot to take over the minds of white males. Don't lose your water. Don't spit all over the table. There's electronics here. So
okay. Well, here's the truth.
Hey now. Don't Pinkie Pie. You gotta think. Pinkie Pie is a party animal, and if I had a friend that was exactly like her, that would be amazing. I might have just lost anyone listening.
I'd like to go ahead and say that I'm a big fan of Pinkie Pie. And that has nothing to do with My Little Ponies.
Okay. I think we're about done. Let's see here. I'm going to not enjoy editing any bit of this. But we're rolling downhill, and there's a
what is that smell? I'd like to remind the listening audience that I haven't slept.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna skip over stuff. I think we might talk about some other stuff next time. Let's see here. I think that's about it. Follow me on Facebook. Like the Facebook page. Let's see here. Archived episodes are at creatingmaya.com. And follow me on Twitter. It's just Maya Axton. I think it's Maya _Axton on Twitter. Follow Josh on Twitter at
J.A. Featherstone.
J.A. Featherstone, because he has to be cool like that, like he's a writer or something. Let's see here. Definitely, like I said, like us on Facebook. Check out Indiana Talks. Check out all the other shows on there. Click that donate button if you want. Send me money at afbound905@yahoo.com through PayPal if you want. Send me an email, or message somewhere. Tell me you want to give me money. I'll take gold. I'll take silver. I'll take Bitcoins once they set up my wallet again. Let's see here. I'll take any kind of money you have. I will actually take gift cards. If you want to give me monetary gain, I will take it. I'm also looking for chicken. The final word is, thanks for listening, and definitely come back and come back next week after you've shared the show a couple million times. And for a very special fan of mine, Indoor Plumbing.